listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Now, if you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our main website where you can find out all about the X-Zone Radio Show, past shows, and much more, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And I'd like to say hello to our new audience listening to us right now on the Mutual Broadcast Network, www.mutualbroadcast.com. Now, my guest this hour is a lady we've had the pleasure of having on the show before. Kate Kunkle is her name, and she is an expert on the way sound, audible or inaudible, affects us, body, mind, and spirit. Joining me now from Markham, Ontario, is Kate Kunkle. And Kate, welcome back to the X-Zone. Great having you with us.
Oh, thanks, Rob. Great to be here.
All right. Tell me how you, tell me I know, but tell our audience how you started your quest into discovering how sound can actually affect us.
Well, it's from the time I was 4. I don't think you want me to go back that far, but that's really when it started, when I started playing piano as a child. But then when I got a little older and I took up the harp as a result of a dream, actually, a real dream, like go to sleep at night dream. I had this dream of playing the harp, and I began to play it, and I ended up working in Las Vegas as a harpist, as part of a duo called Crosswind. And while I was there, I ran into somebody who just loved our music, and when he got sick, he asked me to come and play for him. His wife actually arranged it. When I went there, he was actually dying, and I played for this man as he passed, which I've got to tell you, Rob, is the most amazing experience I've ever had in my life, bar none. To be there at that time, to be playing for him, and to be tuning in my harp to his breathing, to that experience. And that was when I realized that there was a whole lot more to this harp stuff and this music stuff than I had really understood. So it started me on my quest, and I began research. And of course, at the time, there really wasn't that much internet. You know, you did everything with books and that sort of thing. Anyway, I learned about how a gentleman with Parkinson's was able to overcome many of his symptoms by learning to play the harp. I learned about vibroacoustics, and it just changed my whole life from being pure entertainment. I mean, I still love to just entertain as a harpist, but it got me on this whole other realm of what music and sound can do. And then over the course of several years, I did research, and it ended up in a book called The Healing Sound of Music. And then a couple of years later, it ended up where I started doing vibroacoustic therapy and learning about the power of pure frequencies to heal. And it's been just an amazing experience ever since then.
You were speaking about the healing properties of music, about sound. Are there any negative properties?
Yeah, there are, actually. And it's not just audible sound. I mean, lots of us get aggravated or we feel nervous around music we don't like. I mean,
True.
Me, if I hear like one of those cars going down the street with that boom, boom bass, I want to take out a gun and shoot. Most of us in our generation tend to want to do that, but it really bothers me, and it makes me actually physically feel distressed and nervous. So that audible sort of sound, many of us recognize that. You know, jets going overhead, living on a train, like near train tracks, that sort of thing. That is all sound that can affect us, but music itself. And it's not just emotional, it's also physical. I mean, have you heard about those experiences or those experiments with plants and different music?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. So for our audience who hasn't heard of this, there have been many experiments done, and one was done with rock music on one radio station and sort of light classical music from another radio station being pumped into these plants that were controlled for every other variable. So light, heat, sun, everything like that was controlled exactly the same. Amount of watering, humidity. Anyway, the plants that were exposed to the rock music didn't grow. The soothing classical music caused the plants to grow twice as fast. So, and then eventually, after I think it was 6 weeks, the plants that were exposed to the rock music just died. They just didn't survive. So, what does that tell you? It's not a psychological, it's not an emotional effect. This is purely physical effect on an entity.
Kate, stand by. You and I have to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. X Zone Nation. Kate Kunkle is our guest. www.thehealingsoundofmusic.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone Radio Show, and we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break talking more about music with Kate Kunkle. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we will weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Starr began to demonstrate a metaphysical connection to the spirit world as a little girl. Her family noticed the connection, but it was a great-grandmother who told the family that Linnea was indeed gifted. The great-grandmother, who was also gifted, felt that Linnea had indeed inherited these attributes. It has been noticed that oftentimes such things are passed down through the generations. Linnea was also born with a caul, a thin white membrane across a newborn's face. Legend has it that if the baby is born with this caul, the child will have second sight, or what we call psychic abilities. Linnea Starr does past, present, and future, and has the gift of prophecy. It is written within scriptures that if you are able to give factual information, and prophecies indeed come true, the gift indeed comes from the divine realm. Linnea Starr does large interactive groups as well as private gatherings. For more information on Linnea Starr or to contact Linnea for a one-on-one consultation, visit her website at www.linneastar.com. That's www.linneastar.com. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Now you see, that's what I call music.
Me too,
Yeah.
definitely.
Kate Kunkle, welcome back. It's always great having you on the show, Kate. So you tell me about this gentleman that you were playing your music for at his time of passing. You said it was one of the most memorable moments in your life, and I was wondering if you'd be kind enough to share it with us.
Sure. When I arrived at Steve, his name was Steve, when I arrived at his home, the family had already gathered. I didn't realize he was that sick. I just knew that I was being asked to come because they knew that there was nothing else they could do, and he'd asked for me. So I went over there, and the whole family was gathered, and he was in his hospital bed in the living room, and he was mostly unconscious. And I came in, but I tuned up my harp, and then I walked in, and I touched his hand, and I said, "Hi, Steve, it's Kate," because he had called me that little girl with the harp. So I said, "It's Kate, that little girl with the harp." So, I mean, I was like 35 at the time or something. But anyway, I went in, and I held his hand, and he didn't really acknowledge me. I just felt a slight pressure from his hand. You know, just, I know you're there. I feel you. So I leaned my harp right against the bed so that the bow of the harp was actually touching the mattress of the bed. And I started off, and I remembered from when I had met him before that he really liked Irish music. And he really liked the speedy stuff, the jigs and stuff. So I picked a couple of those, and I just played them, toned them down a little bit, but that's what I kind of played. And Rob, it was so amazing. After about 2 songs, my energy connected with his in some way I can never explain or understand, but we connected, I guess, at a soul level. And I started playing music that I didn't know. Like, it was just
Really?
music. And it was very breathy, like there was lots of space in it, but it was like my fingers weren't actually playing. Like there was something else playing my fingers. I don't know how to explain that, but anyway, that went on for about 10 minutes, and I felt that I was with Steve, that I was breathing with him. The breath was his, and then all of a sudden, Rob, it was just like it was gone. It was gone, and I looked up, and he was gone. And my, like I can never, to this day, after all these years, I still can't explain that feeling. But I played for a couple of minutes longer. I think I picked Amazing Grace or something, and I played it for this family so that they could all gather around, and then I kind of bowed out and packed up my harp and went out to my car and sobbed. I mean, it was such an emotional experience for me. I sat there for a good 20 minutes because I could not drive. And I kept thinking about what had happened and what that connection was and how it had affected everybody in the room. It wasn't just me and him. It was everybody. We were all feeling that. And I just sat there and I thought about it. You know what? I've got to explore what happened here. I had to figure out what had just happened. And that got me started.
You know, I've had people on the show before who have talked about channeling, and some people talk about automatic writing. And I'm just wondering if you were actually channeling music from angels.
I was channeling it from somebody, that's for absolute sure. And I now today, since then, I did some studying about how that worked. What was I tapping into?
Right.
And I found this guy Joel Andrews, who is a harpist, and he introduced me to the healing code of tones. And apparently, this code of tones was handed to the ancient Sumerians from the star people. Take that for what it is, but that's what he understood, and that this code came from the stars. Whether that's angels or aliens, I don't know, but it came from the stars. And they have passed down this ancient code of tones to musicians of all stripes, but harpists especially seem to gravitate toward it. So I learned this code from Joel, and I started experimenting with that. So basically, you take the letters of a name and the dates of the birth, and you have to have the birth date because lots of people have the same names, you know, even in any across cultures.
Sure.
So this kind of, from what I understand, this gets you to tap into the Akashic records. What you know, I'm not an expert on that. All I know is that it gives me something to focus on. It gives me like a key. Firstly, I get the key from that I'm going to play in. And then I will sit and I'll go into sort of a light meditative state, and I'll just wait. And I'll just kind of go back and forth and do some arpeggios, and then suddenly the music comes again. And that's what I call the healing code music that I do for people on solo harp. Generally speaking, this is for people who have some kind of illness or emotional or psychological issue that they need. I've done a lot for cancer patients and people going through big changes in their lives. This seems to be a way to tap into the information they need. I don't know what it means. All I know is that the music comes through my fingers. And I guess, yes, that is channeling. And I believe that's what's happening there, whether it's my soul talking to their soul or angels or I don't know what it is, but I know that it works. In fact, one of my students, I teach harp as well, and one of my students ordered one of the recordings, and she played it every day, and she was feeling really big changes coming over her, how she was able to play the harp and her other healing work. And she said to me, but Kate, the last week I didn't feel like I wanted to listen to it. And she said, I think it's done its work. I think I got what I needed out of it. And I thought, yeah, cool, that's great. Obviously, we tapped into something that you needed with the music.
That is truly amazing. Well, isn't there a saying that goes, music calms the beast?
It sure does.
Yeah.
It sure does. Yeah. When I used to have 2 white wolf dogs. Oh, God, I love those dogs. And the oldest one, or the youngest one, who was adopted after going to another terrible home, she had a lot of issues. She used to put her paw right on the foot of my harp when I would be playing. And the first piece of music I ever composed on the harp was composed for those dogs because of the way they would get close to me when I played that harp.
Tell me about the experience that you've had with children playing your music.
You know, it's amazing that kids seem to just have that open mindset, that those open little souls that they haven't been told yet that they can't, or that it's impossible, or they haven't absorbed that, I guess is more like it. They may have been told
Thank
it, but
God.
they still think that everything is possible. I have a grandson now. A 3-year-old
Congratulations.
grandson. Yeah, the love of my life.
Oh.
Anyway, since the time Logan was born, he and I have played the harp, and he sat on my lap from a tiny baby, and he would put his hands on the harp and feel the vibration. And now that he's 3, he'll stand at the front of the harp and try to play it that way because it's too big for him to reach around. But that's so typical of kids. That happened all the time in Las Vegas when I was playing there, because we were at the Excalibur, and kids would be coming through, and they would just sit there and they loved that calming peace, because, you know, at the time when we first started playing there, Las Vegas, they were trying to be a family-friendly venue, which of course didn't work. So people would bring their kids, and they'd be, you know, pulling them hither and yon from Excalibur to the Luxor to see the volcanoes, to see the lions and the tigers, and the poor kids were totally frazzled. So they would come upon us, and they would literally sit on the floor as close to me as they could get. Lots of times they'd want to touch the harp just to feel it. So that just tells you, even in that state, in those places, how important it was for them.
What is the history of the harp itself?
Well, we think that the first harp was probably found as a result of a hunter and his bow, because the string of the bow would make a sound just like a string of a harp, right? If you plucked it, it would make a whirring. And so I think the first ones, that at least the ones that I've been able to find, the stories that I've been able to find, it looks like there was a 3-string, like a harp-type instrument. And it was literally a bent branch with 3 strings on it. And they would just pluck them and make music. And then the Egyptians got really into it. They developed some pretty amazing harps. And of course, there's the ancient Celtic harps. I mean, the ones that we actually see existing to this day, generally speaking, are from the ancient Celts. So they've been around a long time, as probably almost as long as the drum.
Really?
The drum and the flute. Of course, the flute from a bird. They figured that the first flute was a bird bone, because they're hollow, and they would put little holes and they would make sound that way.
Where did the association between a harp and an angel come from?
You know, I honestly don't know that, but it probably also has something to do with the fact that in the Bible, anyway, we hear about that, and I honestly don't know where it first came about.
Music can control people. We've seen this happen before. Aren't different military organizations trying to control people or control crowds with music or with loud sounds these days?
Not so much with music, but with sound.
Yeah.
They have frequency, like they call them the sound cannons. Right. And it is such a frequency that actually causes intense pain in the ears, and it's. I don't know whether it could burst the eardrum. I haven't heard that, but the pain from the actual frequency itself. And that's what I'm all about. I'm learning so much about frequencies since I became a vibroacoustic therapist. It's all about the frequency. And that includes whether it's music or just sound, you know. So yeah, it's the frequency. But the military have used that. They use it. The riot police use them.
Wow. You know, I've gone to concerts, and you get these mega speakers, and you know, I don't understand how kids can stand it. I really don't. You know, I'm showing my age here. Mind you, I went to the Beatles concert. I went to the Rolling Stones, the Beach Boys.
Sure.
You know, what I call music. But anyway, That's for another show. I and you see the kids just getting together, and you've got 20,000 little units that have joined into one major unit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's basically it's a mood song. There's a specific kind of pulsation. It's the pulsation. It's not the melody. It probably isn't even the notes themselves. It is the space between the notes. So if it's a dissonant interval, like a perfect fifth is what we like, you and I, and that's what we recognize as.
Kate, I hate to do this, but I've got to break in here from my news break at the bottom of the hour. Exo Nation, Kate Kunkle is our guest, thehealingsoundofmusic.com, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Gibbs A. Williams, PhD, is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com. Join High Tech with Corey K. weekly here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. From the world of computers to the ever-popular computerized gadgetry that are becoming part of our everyday life and living and society. From kids and their gaming devices, teens and their smartphones, to the applications of personal and business computers. From hardware to software, from standalone units to network computers. Join high-tech guru Corey K. weekly right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network as he takes on the topics that will be of use and great value to the international audience of the X Zone Broadcast Network. High Tech with Corey K. weekends at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com, and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. What happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And if you'd like to send an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our main website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Kate Kunkle is our special guest this hour, the healing sound of music. Kate, where do you think music is going to be used in the future, besides for entertainment purposes, of course?
It does my heart such good to see that they're actually using music in medicine. Like a lot of research has been going on about using music, like in wards with preemie babies. There's been lots of research on how much it helps them gain weight, and they're able to use oxygen even more efficiently when they listen to soothing music. So it's used there. It's used with Alzheimer's patients and Parkinson's patients. As a matter of fact, when you use the 30 hertz sound, so we use a special frequency, a special program of 30 hertz, and we pulse it back and forth, top to bottom, right and left on vibroacoustic devices. It actually helps Parkinson's patients have a better gait, and their tremors can stop. Now, it doesn't keep the tremors away unless you keep using the vibroacoustics, but if they use it every day, the tremors can actually stay away. It's freaking incredible. And then there are other things, like with endorphins. So if you have the right kind of music, it will help increase production of endorphins. So those are natural pain relievers, right? And so that will help in many things, but it also can help speed healing because you're not, getting those pain signals all the time, which creates problems with the healing. It controls the heart rate. It reduces stress. I mean, there are so many ways music and pure frequencies are being used on a medical level. The negative side, they can use music to program people. And that's kind of scary. There was an incident at a hotel in Las Vegas some time ago. Rock music, it had a really pulsing beat. You know how they have it in the speakers all through the casinos and the hotels?
Yeah.
And it was used as mood song. So they have it all the time. There were actually customers experiencing petit mal seizures because of the pulsation.
Unreal.
How weird is that?
Unreal. I thought in the casinos, they wanted you to stay there, not have a seizure and freak out.
But what they do is in restaurants. I'm sure you've been in a restaurant when you almost can't stand to be there because of the music. I've walked out of many restaurants.
I agree.
Because of the music.
Yeah.
So there, the music isn't for people to help them digest and to stay. It's to keep the freaking staff going, and the music is chosen not by people like me who know about music.
By the staff.
It's chosen by designers who
Really?
make it match the decor. Oh, absolutely.
Designer music.
Yeah, they know nothing about the psychology of music. They know nothing about what it does to you. Because if you have the wrong music playing while you're eating, it actually disrupts the digestive process. So, I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong if you have the wrong music playing when you're eating. Obviously, it has a huge effect on stress levels. Sleep. I think a reason a lot of the kids have so much trouble sleeping, besides the screen time, they spend so much time on looking at screens, it's the music. Because it affects the way your body it affects the cellular motion. So it can really have a negative effect on you.
That makes perfect sense.
Think about it.
Yeah.
If you had something drumming on you, pretty soon your body's going to start going to that beat. And that's not where our bodies are supposed to go, right?
That's right.
We have our own natural rhythm.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be disrupted like that.
Let me ask you, when it comes to children, kids with all these new psycho, what do they call them? Like ADHD, ADD. Instead of giving the child Ritalin, which is in the same pharmacological family as cocaine,
right?
Could music help here?
Oh, absolutely. And there are lots of studies. In fact, I mentioned vibroacoustic therapy before. The man who invented this therapy, his name is Olav Skill, and he's from Norway. He taught kids that now we use the term autistic, but it wasn't that term back in the 70s. He was teaching. He was a special ed teacher, and he liked to play because he was also a musician. He would play music in the classrooms. And he found that these kids would be drawn to the bass speakers of his music system, and they would literally lean against it or hold their hands to it, and it would calm them down because he wasn't playing like harsh stuff. It was just stuff with a bass. So he cut the back out of an old couch and put speakers in it, and started experimenting, having the kids sit there and started experimenting with what kinds of frequencies. Because he was a musician, he understood the range of hertz, and he found that if he would play something around 40 hertz, these kids would calm right down. They would start connecting with him and with each other. So that got him on this whole stream of research, and now it's been done by, supplemented by many other researchers, how particular frequencies combined with certain, he calls it B-class music, but it's music that goes with the frequencies, and it actually will help the kids come back to hear, because they have autistic kids anyway. It's trouble. They can't really connect with the outside world. There's no real connection.
Right.
And too much stimulation is very upsetting to them. So vibroacoustics, because it's not a lot of stimulation, but it is gentle, and you can get in there and reach them. And it's also good for ADHD. I mean, lots of programs are developed now for kids to listen to when they're studying, so that they can actually pay attention, that their focus is on what they're doing. So there's huge potential instead of all these freaking drugs.
As you could have subliminal messages watching a screen. And remember this in the 60s, how big this was, and how many people got nailed, all the advertisers that were caught using subliminal messages in the theaters and on TV. Could the same thing be possible in music?
Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, remember when they used to say that, was it John is dead or somebody's dead?
Yeah, I buried Paul. I buried Paul.
I buried Paul. That was
I buried Paul. Revolution number 9.
Yeah, exactly. Now, was that really in there? I don't know. But, of course it could be in there. In fact, we use subliminals all the time. Kelly Howell with BrainSync, she has a whole range of subliminal messages in music to help with weight loss, to help with studying, to help with... Even I have one of hers for walking, because I hate exercise. It's my worst thing. I'm terrible about exercising, but I know I need to do it. So I got one of these, and it's like really powerful. It gets me out there, it gets me walking. I keep pumped up, and there's lots of subliminal used in music, and combine that with specific frequencies, because you have different frequencies for different brain states, right? So that's all used.
All right. So what steps can one take to protect yourself from on the day-to-day basis of negative music, of subliminal music with messages that you really don't want?
Yeah. Well, first off, turn off the I hate to say it, turn off the radio.
Yeah.
Although people don't listen to that much radio. I mean, the kids really don't listen to that much radio anymore. It's mostly on their iPods or whatever they're listening to. But I think the main thing for everybody is to really pay attention to how you're feeling when there are certain sonic influences. So, like we talk about mindfulness, be mindful of how you feel when you're in that restaurant with that music, or you're sitting beside someone who's got the headphones on and it's leaking through and you hear that boom, 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 or whatever it is. Be mindful of that. Recognize it, because you will start feeling like your stomach will clench, or you'll feel angry and you don't even know why. Be mindful of those feelings in your body, and maybe thoughts coming into your head that don't make any sense. Why are they there? Generally speaking, it will be an audible sound of some kind that will be affecting you. And if you can, extricate yourself from it, or get somebody to turn something off or down, although it's kind of hard. People get all tied up about that. But if you can extricate yourself from it, that's the first step to take. Now, a lot of us live in noisy areas. I happen to live in a beautiful, quiet neighborhood, but I lived downtown Toronto at Spadina.
Ooh.
On Spadina. I mean, the street cars and
The
it was
traffic
right on,
and everything
the
down there.
traffic and the people coming out of the bars. And it was so. What I did, I learned to sleep with headphones, like the little earbuds, and all I had in them was like ocean sound. So it would mask those other sounds. So I learned to get away from it by masking it. And sometimes that's all you can do, right? Because that's just the situation you're in.
I tried the ocean sound once. I really did. But there was one big problem.
What?
I kept on having to go to the bathroom.
Well, that could happen.
And I'll tell you, I had to stop using it so I could get some sleep.
So maybe bird songs or something. I don't know. Or just white sound, just white noise.
Well,
just
you know
white
what?
Noise works too.
My wife turns the fan on in our room.
There you go.
And, that seems to work for her.
Yeah. In fact, when I was living there, I would have the air conditioner on or the fan or something because that would help too. Yeah. And is that good to have that frequency all the time? I don't know, but it's a heck of a lot better than the other sounds that I was being exposed to. So, but I think the big thing for everybody to take home from this is to be mindful of what you're feeling in certain areas.
Go on, dear. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and then if you find that something else is coming up, there are lots of sound therapists out here. I'm one of them. There are people who use gongs. There are people who use tuning forks. There are all of those things. So you can use sound therapy to counteract other things that are going on in your life. So you can use, you can get away from certain sounds, but also go towards those sounds, those techniques, those tools that we have at our disposal.
Is there anyone that you've ever come across who is allergic to sound, who has a negative reaction to any sound?
The only person I know is a young cousin who is autistic. And he goes around all the time with those big padded noise-canceling headphones on because he can't handle noise. So, that's the only person I personally have run into that has a really hard time with any sound. Although I have heard of it before, but I have not treated anybody with it, no.
Is there any connection between a sound disorder and tinnitus? That ringing that people get in their ears?
I have tinnitus. And I think it started with an infection from diving, because I do scuba diving.
Right.
And I got an infection once, and shortly after that I experienced tinnitus. And it comes and it goes. It gets worse and better. I haven't seen any difference, and even though I treat myself with vibroacoustics, it also doesn't seem to be helping my tinnitus, although it has helped other people's. So, there is, but we don't really actually hear in tinnitus, right? It's a brain thing. It's not really your ears.
Isn't it a nerve that is?
Yeah.
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 That's horrible.
It's very frustrating as a harpist because there are certain frequencies I will play at the top of the harp that send me off. My ears just really hurt.
I heard something that maybe you can help clarify, that deaf people can actually hear certain frequencies in certain music.
Oh, well, yeah, you can. It's like Beethoven. He heard his piano by putting by laying on the floor with it, right? He took the legs off his piano and he could hear it. That's why they have bone conduction headphones. Have you heard of those or seen them?
No, I haven't.
They're not headphones. They're bone conduction. They're a way of conducting sound through the bones.
Are they the ones that go behind the ears?
Yeah, they can go right on the bones behind the ears. When I was a kid, they used to have one that would rest on your collarbone. It doesn't. It just as long as it's conducting the sound through the bones.
Right.
Then it will go directly to the brain because it's the frequency. It's all about frequency, man. It's all about that.
I wonder if Beethoven is the source of that saying, playing by ear.
He might be. He might be. I don't know.
So where do you see music in the next 10 years? Are we still going to have boom, 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 boom?
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to have that as long as people keep buying it. And people are going to keep buying it because they keep programming them to buy it. That's one thing. I just read this article a couple of days ago about some research that's been done, and I don't have it in front of me. I think it was the New York newspaper or something, that they have done some studies to see what interval causes you to be more susceptible to being entrained. So the perfect fifth that I talked about,
yes.
People are more likely to look at details of things, and they're going to make their shopping lists more detail-oriented. People who listen to this dissonant fourth, which is something that we are not used to and we don't particularly like to hear, but they will put it in music to make people less discriminatory. So they can't discriminate between things as well. So if you program that into the music, which is very easy to do, you can get people sort of addicted to it. So you've got that going on, and that is a way of programming. I mean, we know that music now is not like it was. Oh, I hear music coming up.
That means I've got to take my break. Please stand by. Kate Kunkle is our special guest. What a lady. She's known as the Harp Lady. Her website, www.thehealingsoundofmusic.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and Kate and I will be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Hello, lamppost, what you knowin'? I come to watch your flowers growin'. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Do it, do, feeling.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston. From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone. Kate Kunkle is our special guest this hour, www.thehealingsoundofmusic.com. And Kate is known as the Harp Lady. First of all, Kate, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Great pleasure talking to you. Continued success with all the wonderful work that you do and all the people that you help.
Thanks. It's a great joy to be back in Canada doing this.
Well, we're happy you are. We're not going to let you go back. In fact, if, you know how Donald Trump is saying that he's going to build a wall, between the U.S. and Mexico, and he's going to get Mexico to pay. Well, we're going to build a wall between Canada and the U.S., and we're going to get Donald Trump to pay.
There you go.
The movie, Close Encounters of a Third Kind, a big theme, right? Mm-hmm. A big theme within that within that movie was the music as a mode of communication between extraterrestrials and humans. As a music expert, how possible do you think that is?
Oh, I think it's probable. I really think that it is the music of the universe. I mean, there's even music in space, right? Have you heard those recordings of the sounds in space? Yeah. So we know it's out there, and there has to be, because music is math, right? All the intervals are math. Everything is math. That has got to be the common language, and the way to hear the math is through music. That's the way to connect. I'm 100% convinced of that.
What did you think of that movie?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Every time it's on, I watch it.
What is your final message for the X-Zone Nation tonight, listening around the world?
I would like people to really pay attention to their environment, because it does have a huge effect on your health, and you can make it better by listening to good music, by good, when I say good, I mean tonally, beat-wise. You can learn to play an instrument. It doesn't have to be for performance. It just has to be for you, because that has such a lot to do with your health, to keep your mind active. Music really can help with so many things. Be aware of your sonic influences and influence them yourself in a positive way.
Kate, if there's somebody listening tonight who would like to try and use vibroacoustic therapy to help them out, how can they contact you?
Oh, they can contact me right through I have another website called vibroacoustictherapy.com, and they can reach me there, or they can reach me through my email, which is Kate at, let's use theharplady.ca, because that's the easiest one to do, Kate at theharplady.ca.
Are you going to be playing anywhere in Canada soon?
Yeah, I play just about every week somewhere, but it's always for private functions right now. I haven't done a lot of big stuff lately. I played with the Markham concert band, and I've done some stuff in the summertime, but not so much now this time of year.
Kate, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to the next time you join us back here in the X-Zone.
Thanks, Rob. Take good care.
You too now. Keep the music coming, Kate.
I sure will.
Good night now.
Good night.
Exonation, my guest this hour has been Kate Kunkle. She is known as the Harp Lady. www.thehealingsoundofmusic.com or www.vibroacoustictherapy.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Send me your emails. Love hearing from you, X Zone Nation. Email is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And our main radio website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. I'm Rob McConnell. I'll be back after the news. Don't go away.